Hey guys, and welcome to my Magicka Dragonknight build video for the Blackwood patch. Procs are back in PvP. It spiced things up a bit, and I managed to put together a pretty good feeling build that I'm very happy about. It works really well solo. It's worked really well in group play for me so far, and I'm just happy to share this with you. I've got some high hopes for this build, for this patch. So to jump right into it, we are an Imperial on this build, although Breton, Dark Elf, High Elf, and Nord are also great choices for a Magicka Dragonknight as well. I happen to just like Imperial so much because I think the passives synergize really well with the class. And to just go over those passives really quick, 2k max health, 2k max stam, and the important one here is reduces the cost of all of your abilities by 6%. And yes, that means all of your abilities. This applies to things like Magicka abilities, stamina abilities, ultimate abilities, and even your core abilities. And you might be wondering what your core abilities are. Your core abilities are everything right here. The most important ones are the block cost, break free cost, and roll dodge cost. These are all going to get reduced by being an Imperial. It is crazy good, and that's why the main reason that I run Imperial on Magicka Dragonknight and Dragonknight in general is because that last passive Red Diamond synergizes really well with what the class is about. You do a lot of blocking on Dragonknight, you're going to get CC'd, you do a lot of breaking free, and just having all those things cost less is just going to benefit you more. So we can take a real quick look at our stats here. We're running all 64 points into max Magicka. You can get a look at the recoveries, max stats, base damages, crit resist, spell pen, everything right here. Obviously these things change when you're in combat and you get buffed up. We are running the Atronach as our Mundus Stone, and we are running Bewitched Sugar Skulls. We are not a vampire on this build. You definitely could probably be a vampire if you wanted to. Probably still really good. I just opt not to be. Not my favorite way to play, so I'm sticking to being a mortal in this build. Next, let's go over our armored traits, glyphs, and all that fun stuff, as well as the sets we're going to be running for this build. So to start off, all of our armor pieces are going to be the Impenetrable trait. Our jewelry is going to be Arcane, though I am considering running one Swift instead of the Arcane just to see how the additional movement speed feels. Our staff is going to be Sharpened, our sword is going to be Powered on the back bar, and our shield on the back bar is going to be Sturdy. For the enchants on our armor, I have 6 max Magicka glyphs and 1 Tri-Stat glyph. For glyphs on our jewelry, we are running 2 spell damage glyphs and 1 Magicka recovery glyph. Our staff glyph is going to be the weapon and spell damage enchant. You don't really need a glyph for the back bar one-hand weapon here. You can run something like a poison in the slot to take that up, something like double dot damage poison or a stam increase, Magicka increase poison, whatever you want to do there. Our shield is going to have a max health glyph, and we do this just to get a little bit of extra health on our back bar because Coagulating Blood does have a healing component to it that heals based on missing health. So having the bigger health pool back on there will help that part of the heal for more as well. For the sets we're running 5-piece Pariah. We do this with a heavy chest, heavy legs, and 3 jewelry pieces. The next 5-piece set we're running is Burning Spellweave, and we do that with light gloves, sash, and boots, and a sword and shield on our back bar. Next is going to be our front bar weapon, Vatishrine's Perfected Inferno Staff, and then for our monster set, we're running Incratus with a heavy helm and medium shoulders. The armor types end up being 3 heavy, 3 light, 1 medium, just to keep this pretty short and sweet. We do this because we use the bonuses of heavy armor to cancel out the negatives of light armor, and vice versa. The bonuses from light will cancel out the negatives from heavy. The 1 medium piece just ensures that we still are getting the full benefit of our Undaunted passive, and it also gives us a little bit of things to counteract more negatives from heavy and light, like block cost reduction, roll dodge, stuff like that. All in all, it ends up creating this really balanced feeling build that I really liked since last patch, so I was lucky enough to be able to put this build together in 301 to keep that balanced feeling in the build. Alright, so now that we've talked about the armor traits, enchants, jewelry traits and enchants, and all that kind of stuff, I want to talk about the sets themselves and why we made the choices we did. So we can start with Pariah. This is what I consider to be the core of this build. I really wanted a pure defensive set in this meta. I wanted something that would make me feel tanky. Damage is very high right now. Damage was high last patch, and so you can imagine how damage feels with reintroducing proc sets into the game. If we take a look at Pariah's 2 through 4 piece bonuses, they make us feel very tanky right out of the gate. The 5 piece makes us even tankier the lower our health gets, making it easier to recover from burst damage and heal back to full. Overall, it's just a very tanky set that I would feel will be very useful for small scale PvP in this patch, and it has made a world of difference in feeling for me so far this patch. Our second set is Burning Spellweave. Without Malakath, I wanted a set that offered a lot of spell damage, and Burning Spellweave is just that. It's the clear choice for Magicka Dragonknight. One small difference here is that I've decided to try it out as a back bar set in front of a front bar set. I know that's kind of weird, but stay with me here. With the proc condition change to Burning Spellweave that happened a few patches ago, all you have to do is deal fire damage. So you can deal fire damage on your front bar and swap to your back bar, and you'll get the proc. We also have Engulfing Flames on our back bar as a source of flame damage to proc this set as well. Overall, so far, this has felt really good as a back bar set. I've been very happy with it. It's pleasantly surprised me with how it turns out. I always have the damage when I need it, I feel like, and it being a back bar set instead of a front bar set hasn't really hindered getting that extra damage for me. Next is going to be our Radishran Perfected Inferno Staff. This staff was the main reason for backbarring Burning Spellweave, because I wanted to run this weapon. I still think Vade Staves are very strong on Magicka tunes, even without Malakath. It's just a free source of damage that ramps up during combat, and even now that it can be purged, it's very easy to reapply. It just adds more pressure damage to this build, so I wanted to include it in it. Our monster set here is going to be Enchants. The main reason for running this is that Grothdar feels really underwhelming this patch after the changes to proc damage scaling with your main damage stat. Even with 4.8k spell damage, Grothdar was only tooltipping for about 1.5k damage for me. Half that in PvP, and it's just not a lot of damage. It feels really bad compared to how it used to be. Enchants sort of imitates Grothdar in a way where it creates a player-based AoE that is going to increase your pressure damage once it procs on you. While active, it creates a 12-meter aura of flame damage, and any enemy standing inside of it is going to take 5% increased flame damage from you. You also take 5% less fire damage while this is active. This also benefits your allies. Allies standing in the aura with you will take the 5% reduction of flame damage, and as well as increasing their flame damage by 5% against any enemy standing inside of it. So far, I have loved this monster set. I can feel right away the damage increase on players when it procs. You have to consider, too, that this 5% increased flame damage is also going to stack with a 10% increased flame damage when we apply Engulfing Flames to them. So it's just a lot of flame damage increase that's going out once everything gets applied. And it definitely has helped me burn through tankier targets this patch, and I've noticed it right away. I really like this monster set. If you're not sold on it, some things you can run in place of it, or if you just don't have it, Valken Scoria is very good. Still think Zon is pretty good. I know the damage, same thing with Grothdar, it's pretty low, but Zan is another one of those ramps up the longer you're in combat kind of thing, so I still think it's pretty good. And if you just feel like you want to be, need a little bit more defense, need a little more tank, good old Bloodspawn's always there for you too, if you want to run that. Alright, now for our skill setup. On our front bar, on Inferno Staff bar, we're going to be running Burning Embers, Fossilize, Elemental Drain, Flame Lash, Cauterize, and Ferocious Leap for our ultimate. Flame Lash for Molten Whip, per preference. Molten Whip's going to give you a little bit more burst. Flame Lash is going to let you raw a little bit better and give you access to another strong heal in the build. Like I said, pure preference, you do you on that one. Changes that I would make depending on how you're playing and group size and everything of this build is once you get into a group and you see yourself starting to fight heavily outnumbered, I would remove Burning Embers, even though it is a strong heal, and place Choking Talons on there instead. Choking Talons is a really strong AoE. Once you hit the button, it's just going to apply a damage debuff to anybody hit with it. It's 5% reduced damage for 10 seconds. It's a really strong debuff to be putting out there. They also changed the initial damage of this to flame damage a little while ago. So this ability also gains the benefit of doing 5% more damage once Enchants is procced. For our back bar, our sword and shield bar, we're going to be running Coagulating Blood. It's our main heal. It got buffed this patch. Let's go. They finally reduced the cost on it. Look at that. 3,300 Magicka for this? Fuck yeah, I love to see it. Let's see more of this stuff in the future. Race Against Time, Engulfing Flames, Degeneration, Volatile Armor, and then Spell Wall on our back bar. Spell Wall is just really, really good. Even with like something like Temporal Guard giving you the minor protection, I still think Spell Wall is better. It's just a crazy defensive ultimate. It's the only reflect in the game. And really, it just kind of lets you play more offensive for 7 seconds while you have this up, because you're just blocking everything that's coming into you without actually having to block. Just a really great ultimate, and I would run that here. Alright, and last but not least, guys, our champion points. We're going to go right into this with passives and suggested slottables. So you're first going to want to grab Eldritch Insight, and then Precision for passives. Once you do that, you can head over into Master Curation. You're going to want to grab Blessed. After that, head over to Staving Death. You're going to want to grab everything in here. Quick Recovery, Hardy, and Elemental Aegis. After that, you can head on over to the Extended Might. You're going to want to grab everything in here. Flawless Ritual, Piercing, and War Mage. If you have points left over for passives, you can get Tireless Discipline for extra stam. This isn't super important in the beginning. You can definitely get this in the later stages of your champion points. Now for passives, we're running Thaumaturge, Master at Arms, Resilience, and Duelist Rebuff. Thaumaturge is going to be our flex spot here. While dot damage is really strong on Magicka and it is a 10% increase, we have a lot of percent-based modifiers that it's just going to increase our flame damage in this build, so I don't think losing this is too big of a deal compared to the other things we have slotted. And what I would replace this with is Fighting Finesse. Increases your critical damage and critical healing by 10% at max. This is a very, very strong passive, especially for the critical healing. So I do like this on the build, and I would replace Thaumaturge for it. Next, we have Master at Arms. We're running this over Deadly Aim because I believe the way direct damage works, that this ability is going to hit more things than Deadly Aim would. And what I mean by that is, the example I'll use is Engulfing Flames. Engulfing Flames is an AoE ability that has a direct damage component on cast. Master at Arms would increase that direct damage component, whereas Deadly Aim wouldn't, because Engulfing Flames is an AoE ability. So I believe that's how it works, so we are trying this out this patch with that. Resilience, because of the changes to Impenetrable with the sheer lack of critical resistance we have in this current champion point system, this and 7 Impen is almost mandatory to run in PvP. With it, you get just below 2,900 crit resist, and the sweet spot for crit resist in previous patches was anywhere from 3k to 4k, where as of now, you can only get those numbers while running the Impregnable set, and then you don't have to slot this, but we are not, so we need to have this on the build. Duelist Rebuff is our last. It's our defensive CP, reduces damage taken by single target attacks up to 10%. Really, really strong. I like this solo and duo. However, if you are running into larger fights where more groups are pumping out more AoE and everything, you might want to consider using Unassailable as well. Still pretty strong. For our red tree, we're going to start at Sprinter, and then grab Hasty, Tireless Guardian, Fortification, Nimble Protector, Hero's Vigor, Tumbling, and then Defiance. The rest of your passive points you can just sort of put into Mystic Tenacity. I also have Tempered Soul just because I had an excess amount of points and didn't really know where to put them. For slottables, we're using Juggernaut. No brainer here. 10% decreased damage, or 10% damage reduction rather, while under the effects of crowd control immunity. Rejuvenation is another no-brainer. 150 health mag and stam recovery. The important part here is the Magicka recovery for us. Balanced Vitality is going to increase our health by 1400. I slotted this in place of last patch's Strategic Reserve because health recovery has been utterly obliterated in this patch. Maybe a bit too much in my opinion, but I don't believe health recovery to be worth it at all, so we're not using this. We decided to slot more max health instead. Last slottable is going to be Peace of Mind. The important part here for us is the Magicka recovery, that it's going to give us 200 extra Magicka recovery while under the effects of crowd control immunity. Just going to make our sustain on the build that much better. For the green tree, not a whole lot here for PvP. This is more quality of life stuff. The 3 quality of life ones I would take, however, for PvP are Rationer, Liquid Efficiency, and then Gifted Rider. So that's it for the champion points, guys. Like I said, I've been having a lot of fun with this build so far. It's been really good for me. Solo play, group play, just feels really nice. I'm going to leave a build editor link in the description so you guys can take a more in detail look at the build if you would like. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about the build, feel free to hit me up in the comments section below. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.